Well, the College Majors Handbook really came about as we examined a variety of data on the economic returns to a college degree. And of course, the payoff to college is quite high, but it really depends on what you study. And as we examined the data more carefully, we found very large earnings and employment differences by undergraduate major field. So we decided that it made sense for us to put together a systematic and organized discussion and description of what the payoffs to college are by major field of study to help guide people think through what it is they ought to study while they're undergraduates. Now, that doesn't mean that you should make a decision about what you study as an undergraduate based on earnings, but earnings and employment opportunities are an important part of that choice, and so as a consequence, we thought it made sense for individuals to really have access to information about what career pathways and opportunities came about from studying a given major at the undergraduate level. The book is unusual in the sense that it's authored not just by a couple of economists, but also by a psychologist. Tom Harrington, one of the co-authors of the book, is a very well-known counseling psychologist, and we thought it important that Tom be involved in the book because we think the very first place you start in figuring out what your undergraduate major field of study should be who you are as a person. And by that we mean what your interests are, what your aptitudes are, what your abilities are. So the very first chapter of the book really deals with what we call the psychology of career choice, thinking through who you are as a person and what that means for what you might choose as an undergraduate to study. The most unique aspect about it is it's based on empirical evidence. There's a lot of speculation about what the gains to college are and whether or not you ought to study liberal arts or sciences or engineering or what have you. The College Majors Handbook doesn't speculate at all about these things. What it does is it examines a very detailed and very large survey of 125,000 college graduates across the United States to understand what their actual employment earnings experiences were and associate that with their major field of study. We can answer the age-old question, what do political science majors do and how much do they earn, based on solid empirical evidence from a large-scale survey conducted by the U.S. Bureau of the Census. At the biggest contention that parents and students and guidance counselors and teachers all deal with is where am I going to school? This really becomes the focus of that college process beginning in the junior year of high school. And what happens is that these kids in the junior and senior year, and I went through this with my own children, by the way, there's this tremendous focus on enrolling in a school that has the highest status, the highest prestige. And what our review of the data and the evidence show very clearly is that the big economic gains are less associated with where you go to school and much more associated with what you study. And the reason why that's the case is because our labor market is an extremely efficient mechanism. It's very good at finding talented people no matter where they go to school. So that a lot of the value that you generate, that you gain out of college is what you learn there. It is what you study. And so what we argue is that as youngsters and moms and dads and teachers, focus on this college choice decision, the way to frame the question is really important. And we need to stop framing the question, or at least the first question, to be where are you going to school? And this first question should become what am I going to major in? And then what's the best institution for me to get that major and capture those skills in? So I think focusing on the major field of study and the career aspiration is really the single most important idea that comes out of that book.